My name is Professor Chaim Hames. I am the rector of Ben-Gurion University of the Negev and a historian of religious thought. I'm standing in Kibbutz Be'eri, in the middle of the killing fields, where 1,400 Israeli civilians were tortured, murdered and butchered. Amongst them, dozens of children, just because they were Jews. Academia must be able to distinguish between truth and falsehoods. What happened here was the personification of evil. For those of us who seek hard evidence, the murderers themselves documented their barbaric acts with their GoPro cameras. They did this inhuman and despicable disease because it is their obligation according to Article 7 of the Hamas Covenant from 1988. No equivocation, no ambiguity, no symmetry. This was a massacre perpetrated by monsters for whom killing Jews is seen as a religious duty. Anyone who refuses to recognize this self-evident truth must be suspected of being anti-Semitic or of holding the opinion that Jewish lives don't really matter. One can have views about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Who is the oppressed and who is the oppressor? Who is in the right and who is in the wrong? That is a legitimate discussion. The massacre of the 7th of October 2023 has nothing to do with this conflict. The massacre was carried out by monsters who say that they represent the Palestinians, but use them as human shields, have murdered them by the thousands over the years they have been in power in Gaza, have no compunction or mercy for anyone who does not adopt their distorted religious ideology. Israel's military action in Gaza is targeting the terrorists, not civilians, and might allow the Palestinians living there to begin anew without fear of being murdered, imprisoned, or dictated to by the Hamas or Islamic Jihad. Hamas and Islamic Jihad are ISIS. They are against anyone and everything that does not conform with their radical and sick interpretation of Islam. Some 60 members of the Ben-Gurion University of the Negev community were murdered, and hundreds of families are refugees in their own country. 6 students are hostages in Gaza. I call on you, my fellow rectors and colleagues in universities around the world, as people who have dedicated their lives to furthering knowledge and promoting science that will benefit humanity as a whole, you must be able to recognize the truth, to know where there can be no question about the facts or alternative narratives. Close to 1,400 Israeli civilians were massacred by the butchers from Gaza, and almost 240 more are now being held hostage in Gaza, including babies, children, and the elderly. Those are the facts. That is the truth. The whole truth, the only truth. No self-respecting person or academic can deny this and remain true to themselves and their profession. You do not have to like us, but you cannot allow lies and ignorance to determine the discourse on your campuses. As rector, I am responsible for the safety of all students, Jew and Arab, and I expect you to do the same on your campuses. The truth will win. Israel will prevail, and democracy will win, like it or not.